Hello YouTube, Retro PC Gaming channel here, and today's tutorial is the PC emulator setup again. Now, I know I've already done a video setup on how I install Windows 95 or Windows 98 on PC emulator, but what about Windows Millennium Edition tutorial? To install Windows ME, first of all you will need the resources that I've put on the link that'll make it easier for you to download. I've got the 3D Mark 2000 Sound Blaster, which I think will come pre-installed with Windows Millennium Edition, and the Intel chipsets also comes pre-installed, which you probably don't need, but if it does required, then I can show you how you could do it, but it's not a requirement because it comes with the Intel chipsets pre-installed. And then we have to get DirectX 8, and then we do need the Voodoo 3000 to be installed. Now, to get started, first of all, you need to download PC Emulator version 17 on the website, and you want to download the ROMs. And once you download the ROMs, you want to scroll down and copy all the files. So you want to go copy, and then you want to go PCem 17 Setup, paste it, and then copy all the files in it. And after you've done that, the next step would be to open up PCem. Now, the first thing you want to do before you had installed PC Emulator is go to New, type Windows ME, and then you want to click OK. And then I want to choose the Intel chipsets. The machine I'm going to choose is the slot gigabyte, and I'm going to go for the Intel Pentium II Voodoo. And then I'm going to go to Graphics, then I'm going to set to 3DFX Voodoo 3000, and I'm going to set the speed to fast VLB/PCI, take Voodoo Graphics, and then you want to go texture memory size to 4 megabytes, frame buffer memory size to 4 megabytes. After that, you want to go Sound Blaster PCI 128, change floppy FDD to 2 to none. And then I'm going to set the FDD1 to 3.5 inch, 1.44 meters. After that, you want to click on New. And then you want to go Dynamic Size VHD. And then you want to open up the folder. And then you want to type WinME. And I'm going to go 10 gigabytes for this, because it makes it faster to install when you're using the emulator. Then you want to click OK, and the drive has now been created. So the next step you want to select is to go to the mouse and select Microsoft IntelliMouse PS/2. I don't need the joystick or the network card, so I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to start up Windows Millennium Edition. Disk boot failure, insert system disk and press enter. So we're going to have to insert the disk into it. So we're going to go to Windows ME Setup Files, and then you want to go to Windows ME OEM Full. After that, you want to do a hard reset. Made it full screen, so then you have to press delete to enter setup. And set the beat sequence on the BIOS setup to CD-ROM. After that, you want to go plug and play, hit yes. And then after that, you want to go to integrated peripherals. And I'm going to set the onboard F-disk to disabled, and that to disabled. I'm going to disable those because I don't need the Intel onboard serial port 1 or 2 or parallel ports, so I'm going to leave it all to disabled. Save and exit setup. Press Y, then hit enter. Updating ESCD, and after that you want to boot from CD-ROM. Start Windows setup from CD-ROM. Well, It's been 25 years now since Windows Millennium Edition was first released. Setup will now reboot the PC. So I had to configure unallocated space and to enable large disk support. And then I'm going to go for the details why Windows Millennium Edition went on poor stability and why people switched back to Windows 98 or Windows 98, because they were the most better operating systems than on Windows Millennium Edition. And then we're going to again boot from CD-ROM, start Windows setup from CD-ROM. And then it's formatting drive C. Formatting drive C has almost now been finished. And now we're going to perform a routine checkup. And then the Microsoft Scan Disk is checking the following areas of drive C. And then it's looking for free space. And then it's preparing setup for the Windows Millennium Edition now, which will guide you for the rest of the setup process. And now we're on Windows Millennium Edition setup. Congratulations on choosing Windows Millennium Edition, the software that makes your computer more powerful, reliable, manageable, and entertaining. Now, with Windows Millennium Edition, you can connect to the internet quickly and easily. Windows Millennium Edition was easier to use than previous versions of Windows. So, it takes around half an hour or an hour, depending on the speed of the computer. So, to begin, we're going to click Next, and I'm going to choose Windows. And then it's checking for installed components. Checking for available space. And then we're going to go Custom. And then we're going to tick Desktop Themes. And I'm going to enable Accessories. I'm going to enable multi-language support. And then I'm going to go to enable sample sounds. Click OK. And then we're going to go to System Tools. We'll untick that and we'll retick that. After that, click Next. And then we're going to give the computer a name PC Emulator. And then I'm going to call the description the virtual machine. And then we're going to click Next. I'm going to set this to English, the area I live in, and I'm going to set it to UK. And I'm going to set the keyboard to British. And after that, we're going to set the time to Greenwich Mean Time. Click Next. And then Windows is now creating a startup disk for in the event we have a breakdown. And now it's ready to begin copying files. So click Finish. And the Windows Millennium Edition is now copying all the files before it begins the setup process. So let me explain all about Windows Millennium Edition. So now, people interestingly who had Windows Millennium Edition have said Windows Millennium Edition was the last line of the MS-DOS based Windows products. Like Windows 95 and Windows 98, it uses the same hybrid 16 to 32-bit kernel that ran on top of a bundled version of DOS, MS-DOS 8.0. Windows ME was often criticized for its poor stability. Microsoft had made numerous internal changes at the device driver level. However, with the news that this architecture was at an end, vendors did not update their Windows 98 drivers for Windows Millennium Edition, while existing 98 drivers usually worked. They were often buggy and unstable under ME. Additionally, users were becoming used to the increased stability of Windows 2000, NT 5.0, and the new Mac OS X. Although Windows ME still runs on top of DOS, just like Windows versions back to 1.01, it crippled the ability to start up to or exit to DOS. Many Windows 95 and 98 users has relied on that, as many popular games and utilities were still DOS based. If you wish to set up an older computer for use with DOS programs, we recommend you use nothing later than Windows 98 2nd Edition. Furtherwise, Windows ME changes the desktop appearance to be on par with Windows 2000. It adds Windows Movie Maker, Internet Games, System Restore, Explore Web View, personalized menus, and new common dialogues. Windows ME targeted the home market, while the NT-based Windows 2000 targeted the business market. Initiated during the Windows 2.0 days, Microsoft finally realized its dream of merging these two markets under one single, more powerful OS with the release of Windows XP. If a download does not include a boot disk, please always look at Microsoft Windows boot disks if you don't have a startup disk for Windows Millennium Edition. Now, once the file copy progress is complete, we will show you the next tutorial on how to complete the setup. Okay, so the setup has now just been finished. So we're going to, once again, after you've done the setup, press delete, go to the BIOS setup, and then we're going to set it, the hard boot disk sequence to hard disk only. And then, so I send save. Now after you saved it, the next step you want to go through is how you can properly install Windows Millennium Edition. So it's just taking a while as it's detecting all the hard drives, verifying DMI pull data, and now we're starting Windows Millennium Edition setup. Completed file updating files, which is continuing to load Windows. And now we're on the Windows Millennium Edition setup now, where we're setting up hardware and finalizing settings. Windows Millennium Edition is now initializing its driver database, which is really going to take it for a while before it's ready to move on to the next part of the setup. And now it's setting up your hardware and any plug-and-play devices that you may have. Just taking a while, because it's still setting up the hardware and any plug-and-play devices on the Windows Millennium Edition. And now it's copying files. This takes a longer time to load. Unlike where you had to set up Windows 95 or Windows 98, it can set up pretty faster than setting up on Windows Millennium Edition. Most retro gamers will prefer using Windows 95 or Windows 98, and the Windows is now just detecting any plug-and-play hardware on your computer. Now, this may take a few minutes and may cause your computer to stop working. If the progress indicator stops for a long time and there is no disk activity, please restart your computer. 63% and it's 65% complete. It's just processing quicker now, and it's just taking a while, and now it's 80% complete, which is in detecting more quicker now than any other machines do, depending on the speed on the computer, whether it's fast or slow. And now it's 97% complete, 98 complete, and 99 now it's 100% complete, and it's now setting up your hardware and any plug-and-play devices that you may have. And now we're going to type in the name. I'm going to type in PCem tutorial. And then I don't need to add the company name. And I'm going to accept the license agreement. Click next. And then we need to enter in the product key. Okay. Now we've entered in the product key and we're coming to the end of the setup now. It's just estimated time is 10 minutes left before it finishes installing, and once we finish the setup, we will go through how to install the Voodoo 3000 graphics card and how to install the Sound Blaster, which I don't need to do. But the only resources that I would need to install is the Voodoo 3000 graphics card, and then the 3D benchmarks. So I really hope you do find the Windows ME Setup on PC Emulator tutorial very, very useful. And remember though, guys, it's not as stable than in Windows 95 or Windows 98. But of course, drivers that have been pre-installed in Windows 98 were outdated, you see, by the time Windows Millennium Edition came out 25 years ago. So this is 2025, and this operating system came out back in the year 2000. But I would definitely say people who don't want Windows Millennium Edition would go for Windows 95 or Windows 98. Or else, for my next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install Windows XP for the PC emulator. And then again, I'm going to try and do another Windows 98 setup and Windows ME Edition setup, Millennium Edition setup, and XP setup. For this time, after I've done Windows XP setup on PC emulator, I would show you how to install Windows 98 again and Millennium Edition and XP again on 86 box as the tutorial for users who want to run 3D or 2D accelerated games on 86 box for those with the newer PCs running higher GHz Intel chipsets with the modern most recent chipsets installed in 2024 or 2025. And remember though, please remember to follow my tutorial if you want to get a good guide set up on how to install Windows Millennium Edition. Windows Millennium Edition is the first Windows operating system that includes the Movie Maker and Internet games and System Restore. Okay, now Windows Millennium Edition has set up control panel, and then it's setting up programs on the start menu, and then setting up Windows Help, and then tuning up application start, and then going for system configuration to get this installation completed. Now, after Windows setup has all been completed, hopefully we shall go through how to install the Voodoo 3000 graphics card for Windows Millennium Edition, and how to test out one of the 3D accelerated games to see if they work properly on Windows Millennium Edition. And after I've done the setup, I would show you how to enable the overclock that I've already got put into the Voodoo 3 folder setup files that I'm going to show you how to. And I would also want to show you how we can do household keeping on Windows Millennium Edition hard drive as part of completing the setup. Okay, so now it's updating system settings. It's going through component progress, and this is the overall progress, which is at the bottom of the progress screen. This is the top one, is the component progress. But it's just going to take a while to complete this component progress. And I hope after I complete this component progress, this overall progress is going to take a while to complete. So I hope you do find this tutorial very, very useful. And if you have any questions, just ask me by leaving your comments below if you have any problems trying to get this setup working. And now we've finished. It's finished setting up. The overall progress is now all being complete now. So rebooting Windows Millennium Edition, and then we'll be ready to go for the next tutorial on how we do household keeping as well. And I want to show you what happens if you'd install the Intel chipsets or the Sound Blaster 128, which doesn't need installed because Sound Blaster 1028 comes pre-installed already with Windows Millennium Edition. And then it's completing updated files now, continuing to load Windows. And then I'm going to call the username PC Emulator Tutorial. And I don't need the password, so we're going to hit OK. And then it's updating system settings. And it's building. Please wait while Windows updates the hardware information database, which takes a bit of a while to complete until it gets to 100%. And then it continues updating system settings now. Well, the sound is perfectly working, which is good news, but the sound is down. But I've turned up the sound now so that it should work perfectly good. And now we've got Windows 90, Windows Millennium Edition now all set up. So if we go to Device Manager, now this comes with Intel Pentium already pre-installed. And it's already pre-installed, so you probably don't need to install the Intel chipsets for this. So for the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install the Voodoo 3000 graphics. Now we're going to go to Windows Millennium Edition Setup. Open up Windows ME 10GB. And then you want to go to create a new file, which is Windows ME, and it's Setup files. And then after you created the setup files, you want to copy some of these only. Just copy these two free files and then go to Windows ME Setup, paste them here, and then you've got it. And then you want to eject the Windows ME drive and then boot it up again. Okay, so after you boot it up, go to My Computer, and then you want to maximize it. Go to your local disk, and then it's going to view entire drives. Go to Windows ME, go to this, go to the Voodoo Setup, and to start the installation of the 3DFX Voodoo 3000 graphics. And it's preparing to install. And then we're going to go next. I accept the terms in the license agreement. Next, install. And then it's installing the 3DFX Voodoo 3000 graphics card now for the Windows Millennium Edition PC. And then it's registering modules and removing backup files. Click Finish, and then we'll reboot the computer. And now we're back on to Windows Millennium Edition, now with the 3DFX Voodoo 3000 installed. Next, you want to go to Local Disk, and then we're going to go Windows ME Setup Files, and then we're going to go to Overclock. We're going to enable overclocking, and then it's already been enabled. Next, we're going to install DirectX 8. First of all, we want to go to the 3DFX Overclock, enable OpenGL, and enable Direct 3D, especially if I'm going to play 3D games. Then apply, and then click OK, and then we're going to go DX Setup. I'm going to go yes, and then we're going to install DirectX 8 on Windows Millennium Edition. Because if you'd installed DirectX 8 on Windows Millennium Edition, it allows you to play retro games up until 2002 or 2003. And then hopefully you'd be able to run these games easily as possible. So it's just installing Microsoft DirectX 8. So it's searching for updated DirectX components and updating as necessary, as it may take a few minutes. And now it needs to restart your machine, so press OK. And now it's updating the hardware information database. And after that, Windows Millennium Edition is now updating system settings, which is going to take a bit of time. before it finishes completing the installation. And now we're back onto Windows Millennium Edition now. Now we're going to go to My Computer. And then we're going to go to the hard drive. And we're going to go to the Windows Millennium Edition setup files. We're going to install 3D Mark 2000 now. And it's reading contents on packaging. And it's extracting all the files now. As it may take a few moments. And then 3D Mark 2000 setup is preparing the installed shield, which will guide you for the rest of the setup process, so we still have to wait. And after that, it's the checking your DirectX version, which has already been detected, the latest version. And then after this, it's copying program files as necessary if it can. And then after this, now it's updating the registry information, we'll purchase it later. Yep, we create a desktop shortcut. And then we're done setting up the 3D Mark 2000 now. So after this, it's just an opening page. Now you've successfully installed 3D Mark 2000. After this, we're going to test out one of the games to see if they work properly. We're going to go to 3D Mark 2000. And there we are. We've opened up the 3D Mark 2000 now. Then we're going to go New Custom Benchmarks. We're going to go Benchmarks. And then it's just testing out these games to make sure they're working perfectly. Which they are. Well, now that you've got the 3DFX Voodoo 3000 installed on Windows Millennium Edition, and with DirectX 8 installed, you can now run both 3D acceleration and 2D acceleration games on Windows 98 and Windows Millennium Edition. Now, for the next tutorial, I will show you how to install Windows XP Home Edition on PC Emulator. And, of course, for this to work, and in the next tutorial, I would show you that with Windows XP Emulator, you don't actually need to install 3DFX Voodoo 2000 or 3000 on XP, as it already comes with 3D accelerated and 2D accelerated graphics already pre-installed, along with the Sound Blaster 128 PCI and the Intel chipsets, which I don't have to go through, but I would show you how to install Windows XP on PC Emulator for the next tutorial. So now, I'm going to exit this now, so I'm going to press escape to go back to main menu. And then we're going to close it. Yep. I think this thing's bugged off. But I really hope you find this tutorial very useful. And I will see you for the next tutorial. So, if you have any questions below, please leave your comments below, and don't forget to like your videos and hit the notification bell, and please will you remember to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again in the next tutorial. Goodbye.